Shalom people, this is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video. And I'm down in the beautiful city of Savannah, Georgia for this weekend. And just sitting out, enjoying the cool of the evening. I was thinking on Proverbs 30:11. There is a generation that curses his fathers and don't bless his mothers. And I was thinking on Ephesians 2:1-2, where it talks about the children of disobedience, right? And the thought came to my mind because a couple of years ago I was watching this video about it was this big concert they did back in LA in 1973, and it was sponsored by this record company called SAX, SAX Records. And it was I think it was owned by some black guy or whatever, but anyway, it was a concert with the artists of SAX Records, and I don't know if it was a free concert. It was at the LA Coliseum, and it was packed with mostly black people. And I thought it was so amazing when I looked at the video to see all those black people there in the Coliseum, just dancing and having fun. As far as I know, I didn't see any fighting. I didn't see, anybody doing anything bad. They was just listening to music and having fun. And I just seen some of the people in the crowd, dancing, and it kind of brought back to my mind in the 70s when my parents, to make money, they used to throw parties on the weekend to to supplement the money that my dad was not making because my mom didn't work. But anyway, I just thought, at that time, that was the era of funk and soul, where the essence of who we were as black people, at least in our abilities to dance, to sing, our fashion or whatever, it was on full display during that era in the 70s. Of course, we know that later on it degraded down into something that was not good, especially when we started getting into the Egyptology thing. But for a while, it was good to see that about us, being black and proud. All the dapping we used to do. Sometimes you would sit for 10-15 minutes dapping, doing all kinds of handshakes and calling each other blood and all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, I was thinking, and that was just a few years ago. I was thinking some of those people now, they're my parents' age, because my parents was back at that time. They was reasonably, probably like in their mid-20s or whatever. So I was thinking, man, now all those people are like my parents. They're grandparents and great-grandparents now. But just to see them back there in the 70s, in their blackness and the power that they exhibited, was just like exhilarating to know, man, hey, we really stood up. We was about it back then. So I left a comment, that, hey, that generation, I was, kind of reminiscing, saying I wish that generation was we had more people in our generation like that. Now, you know, kind of, just kind of give them their props. Well, somebody, and this has been a couple of years now, right? They came back and put in a comment. Somebody came back and put a comment in, I guess earlier this morning, that's saying, WTF, what are you trying to say? Don't you know that those people back there were messed up? You know, that the guy that was the leader of Sax Records that was, doing the show, that he was high on LSD and all this stuff. And I guess he thought, whoever it was that left the comment, that I was romanticizing and believing that generation, my parents' generation, didn't have any problems at all. No, I know they had problems. I seen some of the issues that my mother and father had, and even some of the issues with, like I said, the Black Power movement, in a sense of the fact that a lot of it did point away from God, Yah, because at that time, like I said, a lot of our people eventually dissolved down into, going back to Africa, but getting off involved in things dealing with Africa, that was probably the reason we got cast into slavery in the first place. But anyway, one thing I do know about that generation, what I was really thinking in my mind, was that after the Black Power movement and everything, after their period of them trying to get pride about themselves and then kind of going off into tangent, a lot of those people in that generation did come back to God. They did come back to Yah. They did try to get their families back together. Not all of them, of course. Some of them, continued off the rails, but a lot of them, later on did try to get their families back into the church. They did try to, clean up their act or whatever, get off of drugs, get off of alcohol, stop the partying, and get their life together. And that's what Proverbs 30 and 11 and Ephesians 3, 1 and 2 come into play, because within every generation you're going to have a group of people that's going to get off and probably never come back. They're not going to they're going to curse their father, and they're not going to bless their mother. They're going to be the children of disobedience, according to Ephesians 3, 1 and 2. They're going to, that's under the power, the prince of the power of the air, Hasatan, and they're not going to come back. But I could say this, within that generation, it was a whole lot more of them that came back from the Black Power movement and got to refocus back on Yah than in this generation that comes. These generation today, that all these different generation X and Y and K and all these other kind of crazy generations that they got out there, it's very few of them that get out there into them gangs, that get out there into the selling heroin and meth and all that stuff, that come back to serve Yah. It's very few of them. And that's because when you look at what Yah had stated about us being the gold. The thing about gold is you have to refine it a lot to get a lot of the impurities in it out, until you get down to the bottom and you get all the dross that's left. And I would say from the time that Yah had started putting us in the furnace of affliction again, starting with 70 AD when he kicked us out of the land, that from that time to now, at the beginning, I believe it was when he put us under put us under this affliction, it was a lot of us that was turning to him. Now we died. There was a lot of us that died in the affliction, but that affliction was turning a lot of them to Yah. This affliction in the last so many years that we have been going through in these 400 years here in America, it's been, it's not been a lot of us that's been turning to Yah. It hasn't, because we getting down to the 400 years was I believe was getting down, refining it down to where you was getting down to the really baser metals, unstable, that was mixed in with the gold. Because what happened, one of the things that happened to us when we got here to America was the mixing of the slave masters into our gene pool to make us unstable. They knew that was going to happen. So just like gold has copper and all these other metals that are baser than it. It's gonna, you gotta put some heat to that to get those baser metals out, right? Where you're gonna end up with a little bit of, not as much gold. And so in this generation, you got all this with this police brutality and all these other afflictions that Yah is allowing to happen to us to try to draw us to repentance to him. It's not a lot of these people. So whoever this gentleman, if he was of this generation, he might say, yeah, those people back there, they was doing drugs too. They was, on LSD and getting drunk. But understand this, a lot more of them came away from that lifestyle and was able to get their life on track because of the grade. I don't know how I can explain it. Because of the stuff that they were made of, they have much more of the gold in them than some of the impurities that the later generations are made of, right? The stuff. Just like Adam. Adam was pulled from the soil that was in the Garden of Eden. And if you know anything about Eden, Eden was supposedly have been maybe, I don't know, had some kind of heavenly connotation to it, that it was, and I could be wrong, I go back, I think it was in one of those books, Jasper or Jubilees, that I was reading or whatever. But anyway, the soil that Yah made him from was the darkest, strongest, most nutrient-rich soil that has ever been produced on the planet, because Yah does not start out with the least. He starts out with the best. And so it's the same with us. As time has gone, that Yah has kicked us, when he kicked us out of the land in 70 AD, the quality of the gold, the people, because the Bible said the sons of Israel like fine gold or Euphaz. The quality of the gold, the quality of the metal of the people has gone down. So that those people, my father and mother generation that was back there in the 70s, that they was partying. They did get their lives, a lot of them did get their life back on track and end up living productive lives. But like the further generations, no, they didn't. Yeah, it was some of them that got their life back on track, and like in my generation. But I'm gonna tell you, it was a lot of people in my generation, right? I consider fortunate that me and my wife, that Yah, seen fit to open our eyes to our need to salvation, because there's a lot of people in our generation that I seen. I ain't saying that people didn't go to church. Understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about people that actually got saved, was born again. It was very few. And so whoever this guy is that tried to talk about that generation, yes, at that time when that concert was going on. Yeah, it was a lot of them that was probably living riotous lives or whatever. But you could tell it was a strength about them that once they got themselves on track, it was a lot of them that was able to come back. But these other generations, I'm telling you, it's going to be very few in this generation that's going to be saved, that's going to follow Yah. I'm not talking about being saved from the destruction of Babylon. I'm talking about soul salvation. People whose metal is that quality that Yah can use it. It's like the Jeremiah's potter's wheel. The kind of clay that he was working with was so obstinate and wouldn't let him form it and shape it. So he said, this lump of clay is no good. I got to get rid of it. But and notice it was clay. It was out of the ground. Whenever you see that, it's talking about us. So the quality of the clay that Yah is getting in these later generations, this metal of these children, these people in the later generation is at that debauched state. You can see that with that little Nas X video where he is pretending that he is a pregnant man. And you got a lot of people that's supporting this. You got a lot of people that supported the BET Awards where they were having a lot of LGBTQ stuff going on there. This metal of this generation, right, is getting like it was in the days of Noah, where Yah was able to only pull out 8 souls, because he said, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. As it was in Sodom and Gomorrah, it's going to be in those days. And so we know in Sodom and Gomorrah, what Yah was only able to pull out, 4 people, and then one of them got lost because they looked back. So this is what we're looking at. So yeah, you can make the comment about the people back then, but a whole lot more of them are going to get into the kingdom, get into heaven, than this generation. No matter how many of these people that they say that they are Hebrews, or say that they are Muslims, or say that they are Christians, or whatever they say they are, whatever it is tag that they have on, they don't have a relationship, solid relationship. And it ain't so much talking about how long they say they've been, in the church or in the camps or whatever. It's talking about that transformation of being born again and being able to weather the storm when the pressure gets on you. If the baser metals get certain amount of heat, they'll evaporate away, but gold will not. So that's why I'm saying we are looking at the baser metals of this generation, so that they can look back at these generations before them that they had sin, they had people within them that like Proverbs said, cursed their father and didn't bless their mother. But overall, it was a whole lot more of them that was able to turn their life around and get in and be able to, let me try to get in the light here a little bit, that was able to through the help of Yah turn their life around and commit themselves to Yah. And if they passed on now, they're in heaven, or if they're close to death, they're going to be with Yah, because they were of a different metal. They had a little bit more substance about themselves than this generation that we see today. Pretty much all of this younger generation, even though the Bible said the latter times He would pour out His Spirit upon all flesh, that pouring out started back during Yeshua's time. It didn't just start in this time. The latter days were back then too. But as we get to this generation, as in the days of Noah, the Bible said that thoughts of men were only evil continually. And so if these people don't have that kind of metal, that kind of intestinal fortitude, they will be that generation of disobedience that's led by the prince of the power of the airwaves. what's one of the major things that we have to contend with is social media, the internet being governing our people. So in that, I would tell you, if I'm finna end this video, if you like this video, I want you to give it a thumbs up. I want you to like. I want you to subscribe. I want you to leave a comment, and I want you to pray that y'all will be able to pull out more of these people in this generation, and that they all won't go, to the devil. Be blessed.